Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of films.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP, Film Viewers.
surprise.
Or maybe not for me to say that we were not meant to do any Halloween.
Yeah, but I had to squeeze in one, didn't I, somehow?
You did.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it was my idea for this, so I don't know why I actually said
Entertained the idea,
Yeah,
in the first place, so, you only yourself to blame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of our listeners and the fact that,
This will be like a wedding day celebration, because this is when I'm planning on airing the episode. So this will be something to sort of remember the day by.
Don't try say that by this ghostly, horrible, scary film that we're going to be watching.
That you picked.
That I
that
picked.
you picked out from all the ones I put on the table, and you systematically went through and going, oh, it's got Martin Freeman in, so...
I love Martin Freeman. He's you. Well, he is a you in Love Actually.
Well, the film we're going to be talking about, if you haven't gathered from the title, it's Ghost Stories.
First of all, I know I don't like anything with ghosts. So that is like anything that's ghostly or spiritual gives me the heebie-jeebies. Because it's not like a man with an axe that you can lock your front door from. Or you can kill him if, he's coming at you.
Yeah.
A ghost, really, what can you do? It's already dead.
Well, that's true.
I think that's why it scares me the most.
Something supernatural that you can't see and defend yourself from.
Mm-hmm.
What... I get why the film is called it in this case, but it feels like there's been like other films with this sort of similar title, like A Ghost Story, Just Ghost Story, or that. It's
really
like,
original.
It's really hard to think of other names. It's like when they do like the Halloween films, and it's like they kind of just go, oh, it's Halloween 2018, as opposed to like the first one, which was like in the 70s or whatever, and it's this kind of like tricky thing, like they just keep re-releasing. Oh, this isn't a re-release for anything, but it's just like a tricky title to nail down as to what describes the film best, I guess. But it doesn't sort of make sense in this film because it's kind of regaling some stories that are ghostly.
Wish me luck.
Before I read the synopsis, I've got the case here. Do you see anything peculiar about?
Numbers. Help me. Teeth, I think. I don't know if they look like teeth to me.
No, I meant the writing.
The writing?
Yeah. The
And
title.
help me. Oh, no. I wasn't even looking at that. I was too busy looking at the picture. I spelled something wrong. Stories. It's not right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why is it not spelled right?
Because it says the brain sees what it wants to see. So on first glance on this case, it's like a reversible sleeve. But on first glance, you might not even see that thing. It just says Ghost Stories. But it's actually, the text is kind of disoriented. Like letters are mixed around even on other bits as well on the thing where it says based on the Olivia Award nominated stage show. That's...
Do you know, though, I'm dyslexic, so... Why are you laughing? What it is I can still read that and not see the mistakes. I'm one of those people that would go based on the... I would think that was a the. I wouldn't even probably blink at it.
So there you go. Yes, that's
so that I am...
escape. But you, without close inspection, you wouldn't initially go, oh, that's spelt wrong.
No. I'd have known what it meant, so I'd have just... my brain would have automatically just gone,
the brain sees what it wants to see. So,
yeah.
So, read the little blurb on the back.
Is that spelt right?
That is, yeah.
All right.
Just for the front letter. So, Professor Philip Goodman is a renowned skeptic of all things supernatural. Given the opportunity to investigate 3 unsolved case histories of baffling paranormal activity, he uncovers mysteries beyond his own imagination, each more frightening, uncanny, and inexplicable than the last, leading to a nightmarish conclusion that forces him to question everything he once believed.
Doesn't sound too bad at the moment. I feel like that's vague.
Purposely vague.
But you're a bit of a, I don't know, I think you want to believe in ghosts, but you're one of those, because you haven't seen it, I don't know how much it doesn't scare you, I guess.
Well, that's right. I've yet to really encounter. I like the idea of
An afterlife.
No, I mean, I want to see that actual, genuine proof that there is something there to make me really believe. Whereas if it's
you mean like Casper though, or something like that? Spirit?
I don't mean little ghosts go hello. I mean something that's okay. How do you explain that in a way that's unearthly?
But not something that's going to terrorize you, right? Like Babadook,
No,
just see a ghost float by.
I don't know what to.
Oh, like a silhouette, or something.
I don't mean actually physically see something. There has to be a spirit there, with a face and everything. I mean in something like
the kettle turns on randomly, or
something moves.
Floats.
Or,
I don't know. I think that's a load of shit.
Right, but if there's something, if you think there's something genuinely like a spirit there hanging around, going hee hee hee, look what I'm doing. I'm terrorizing you here.
No, I don't think they move things.
You're talking about just moments in time where a ghost is kind of just walking around because that's where they were last seen or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't seen that, so I have no experience on that.
I feel like that's more likely than, oh, look, a cup's moving and nobody's there, kind of thing.
Okay.
Or I think lights. Sometimes when your lights are flickering, I feel like that's.
But that's easy explained, isn't it?
A ghosty kind of thing. Sometimes that feels like.
That's just the bulb going out.
Well, it depends. And our kettle turns on, and I think that is a ghostly thing because it happens in every house. It's happened in every house.
It's just the electricity just tripping.
No. Because we've had different kettles. There's something weird about it. You've heard it click.
Yeah,
and nobody's put it on.
I don't think anything. Yeah, but it doesn't boil. It's just. I just
clicking.
think
somebody's pressing the button.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we've gone on for long enough. This.
Well, it's an extra long one. You wanted this.
More fluff.
That you're going to cut out.
Maybe, I don't know.
Probably. Oh, Sophie's talking again. Cut.
You haven't really one editing it, darling.
And on that note, shall we?
Crack on. Yep. Get scared.
Need some candy first.
Right, we'll be back very soon.
Ooh.
So where are these pictures from?
They're from all over. It's my research. Stuff that I find on the internet or books that I'm reading, stuff that I'm interested in. Just trying to understand certain things, so it's helpful to have all that stuff out so I can see it all the time. Or at least whenever I want to see it. If I don't want to see it, I can look over there. The thing that I don't want people looking at me and thinking that I'm mad. Because I know what I saw. And that's the thing, I know that I'm tired. I'm so tired and I'm finding it hard to think straight right now. But, I want to talk about this. I want to find out about this. But I don't want people to think... I don't want people thinking that there's anything wrong with me.
So, what did you make of Ghost Stories from 2018?
It was more scary than your attempt to a ghost.
Well, I think that's to be expected. Really.
It was awful, Paul.
All I'll say is that you were the one who picked out, so you've no one to blame but yourself.
It was just... I don't know why I picked it. I don't know why I did. I think it was because of...
Martin Freeman, like you said initially, yeah.
And it was an interesting watch. I will give it that, it was. But there was times where, like certain scary films, when the jump's going to happen because the music builds you up.
Yeah, like a typical
You can
cliche.
kind of brace yourself. Well, I brace myself. It gives me a clue. And I feel like this was a little bit like Blair Witch Project for me.
Mm.
With the sense of...
dread that's when's it going to come?
Yeah, and you never knew. And obviously with the Blair Witch, it never came, which was absolutely infuriating because I'd got myself so worked up the entire time.
I get that, yeah.
Whereas this, they did come and they did scare the living shit out of me. One of them in particular, which was the first encounter.
Yeah. And we'll premise this already before we get too deep into things, that there will be spoilers in this, because I think this is kind of like, it makes for a good experience to watch the film because it's got a twist, so therefore I don't want people to be ruined by our discussion of it. So I do recommend you go check it out beforehand. Come back to the episode and hear our thoughts. But I know we don't really do that enough, but obviously I don't know how many people are like, just stumbling across this and wondering like what it's about, and then we're that sounds that's annoying. I wanted to
experience that.
It. Yeah. But yeah. So
now I'm the opposite. I wouldn't get grumpy. I'd be like, okay, that's exciting. I want to watch that now, and I'm intrigued by it. And I'd kind of like the fact that there would be a twist, and I'd be watching it trying to see. So I would. Well, I don't know if I will watch this again or not because of how I felt afterwards.
Okay. I definitely think this definitely has repeat value.
It does, but I'm just meaning because I was scared.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that, yeah.
I just don't know if I could put myself through that again.
Again, people's mileage may vary on how scared you get with films, but you definitely this time, because a bit like when Blair Witch which we covered in a previous episode, that level of tension that you had when you were watching it kind of made it more atmospheric for me to watch. So there was this through this, it was the sort of same experience again. So it kind of improved it a little bit. Obviously, I've seen it like this would be the 4th time now, I think. So.
Oh, I'm so glad I improved your cinema viewing of this film. You're welcome. It was awful. Like, I don't know why I get so het up about it. Like, I'm sat there going, Sophie, it's not real. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's on the TV. It's not real.
I know.
And, like, but I'm still getting like, and I feel like we should video me, because, bless him, throughout this film, I did not shut up. Like,
yeah, it's your coping mechanism to like just yabber on a little bit, or like, don't go in there. Why are you going down that corridor, or whatever? Those kind of things, which is whatever it makes you feel comfortable to relieve yourself from.
I think next
scared.
Halloween, when we actually have a full Halloween session, we should just record clippets of me.
Video or something. Yeah, it might be something we incorporate in. Future.
Yeah, I think we need to, because I think. What I say, I'm like, no, why are you looking there? What are you doing? And then, hell no is one. And I have to do that, because otherwise I don't know if I could cope. And I don't know how you're just sat there, deadpanned, nothing's phasing you. You're just like watching it.
I know what you're saying, but I think it's kind of sort of phased out of me a little bit in terms of, I've seen so many horror films now. And like I say, I know when sort of the cues are coming for, here comes a jump scare type of thing. It's gonna, even if they try and fake you out with like it's a reprieve, and then there's like a really long pause before it comes. It's like a timing of like, when is it gonna catch you off guard? But a good example of recent horror film I went to see without you, because
that would have freaked me out, because I'm the most smiliest person ever.
Yeah, the film was called Smile. There seems to be a lot of mixed reviews, I'd say. Some people really think it's great. I personally don't think it's all that, really. It was kind of disappointing, really, for what I experienced. Like, it's certainly in the cinemas, nobody like jumping out the streets or made a sound when there was the jump scares going on. So I don't know what that tell you.
Had me in the cinema, they might have done.
Yeah, but they're kind of few and far between, to be honest. It's kind of like, almost like these fake out type ones where it's like, you think there's going to be something, and then it kind of cuts to something else. It's like, yeah. And there's a lot of other things that annoyed me about it, but...
But also the length. Like, I felt that was quite comical, because I always bang on about a film being like an hour and a half, and you actually came home, and I don't know if I'm rubbing off on you. You were like, it was too long.
No, for what it was, it really was. It could have been shortened down to an hour and a half, but it was like near going off 2 hours, and it's like, I know it's more like a drama, more at the back end of the film was more like a detective thing, like, why, like, got to find out the people who, like, where the source of this curse was coming from and all that stuff. But anyway, there's still, I think that's why I kind of like watching horror films, because it's almost like trying to find that diamond in the rough of like a horror film that does really scare me.
Do you know who you are?
Come on.
Bob's Burgers, you're Louise, you know, the little girl that don't get scared, and everyone's like having to try to scare you. Like, you can literally scare anyone because I swear to God, you're a ghost because you float, because you don't hear you coming at all. Like, are you already dead? And that's why it doesn't scare you. I don't know. But it's one of those things where I don't think you'd be scared that easily.
In certain circumstances, I think
in
would.
real life you would be.
Yeah, more so. But
watching something, I think that's the principle. Whereas mine is the anxiety. I know that sounds really daft. It's the build up, it's the tension, it's the waiting, and then it's like they're going to scare me now, and then they're like, oh, they haven't, and then I'm like, well, when? Yeah. And that's the bit. When's it coming now? I know something's coming, but when? And that's when I get like really het up, and I don't know what I'm doing or what my face is doing, and I'm kind of clinging onto you, and I think that makes you somehow enjoy a film more, because I'm absolutely petrified.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, this one I still think really kind of holds up in its own right with how it's told with the story and everything. But I think, as I've seen it more now, I think it starts off strong and then sort of dips in terms of like the case studies of the three stories, almost like an anthology film this is. But the first one is probably the most typically scary. Then it kind of gets less and less as I see it, really. But I don't know about you.
Obviously, we know that because I screamed.
Yeah, you screamed a couple of times.
But one occasion, the loudest scream that I think I've done to a film. Yeah,
definitely, yeah. But we'll start from the beginning of the film, of course, which is like this, was it like 8mm camera footage? I think like the old recording.
Yeah.
System of like this young boy who's in this bar mitzvah and stuff. And it's kind of like telling the story of like this, what seems like a disapproving father of his daughter who's marrying, like, I guess, a Muslim or something. And kind of like so it's kind of like a little bit of a backstory on our main character's psyche, I suppose. Like, he's come up from maybe like an abusive relationship in his family. And it's more focusing on careful what you believe. And obviously, like, the Jewish belief plays part of that in this part of the story at the beginning. The ideals behind things seems broken.
But also, even just before then, stepping right to the beginning.
Oh, the very beginning. Where it's black screen and
heavy breathing and the dripping of the water. Like, that's freaky as all. And that made me feel like my breathing was going weird. Is that stupid? You know, when you hear something like really out of breath and like I was feeling already anxious and kind of like heavy from that. And then you kind of see abusive father figure-ish towards his child's, and it's just like, okay, so we've got his character, and I didn't know if he was going to be the lead all the way through or how this story was going to pan out. And I didn't know, obviously you saw ghost stories, I didn't know how they were going to be all linked together, if that makes sense, to be able to be kind of, is somebody just encountering loads of ghost stories, but it's kind of, he's a non-believer.
Yeah,
really.
He's skeptic, because he's calling out all these TV psychics on this psychic cheats. I straight away
knew. I saw this person on the stage going,
Is there Jimmy or whatever his name was? Yeah, something like that.
I know. I say this story all the time. I know I do. But that is my worst nightmare. I believe some people can do it and it is real. But don't get me wrong, there's fakes out there. There's fakes in everything. Yeah. Sadly. But I do believe there is some people out there that genuinely can speak to...
How would you decipher that as facts? Like, oh, right, you are definitely talking the truth here. Is it something like that was really close-knit, or there's no way you've got an earpiece, feeding information like on a TV show, where that could definitely be staged, because obviously there's people literally behind curtains.
I think it'd be...
doing that in a sound room.
Somebody came... If I know my mum's been to one of them before, and she hadn't written anything down, nothing. They didn't know her. She hadn't said anything, and they did say about her mum coming to the front, and there was certain things that they knew that nobody would know in our family. So I feel like that makes it more legit, and I think that's when I would believe it. Yeah. As in, if somebody had like passed on my side and came through, then you'd believe it. And you know that you haven't written anything down on a picture. If you're having to write your name and what's happened and who you're wanting to come and speak to you, that to me then would ring alarm bells that you're a fraud.
Hang on a minute, yeah.
And obviously, I used I went once, and then this petrified me for life. And I think this is where my scare has come from.
With this kind of stuff.
With ghosts. And I think when I was younger, I did see a little girl ghost. She used to peek over my bed. Why are you laughing?
I don't know, just a little vision of like a...
Yeah.
Hello.
And I shit myself.
I don't know, it just seemed very obviously not funny at the time.
No, it wasn't. And there has been in his old house, definitely for me, I've had things where, I don't know if you've ever felt like somebody behind you, like a presence behind you.
No, I've lived in that house with you before we moved into this one, and no, I didn't really. I mean, obviously it was really old, like from Victorian type era type of thing, and all that kind of stuff, like really old. But I never really got a sense of like a ghostly presence thing. I think maybe because I was thinking, you're saying this, I kind of want something to happen, and therefore it's not going to. I don't know. And
there used to be a man that used to walk down at the bottom of the steps. But your mum, she's a bit like me.
Yeah, she has vibes of she can't go into certain places. She's like, oh no, can't go in that room or wherever. There's something there. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just a feeling. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And she didn't tell us until we moved out of that house that she didn't like going in that house. It was a landing.
Yeah.
That freaked her out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, if you think about it that way. So, we were talking about poltergeists. I don't think like that, to me, doesn't scare me. A spirit or something like that that's going to come and harm you or pop up or whatever, or a memory, that is freaky for me. That's my worst nightmare. And I don't know why. I just think, well, what can you do?
I don't know. I do not know.
So, he doesn't believe in psychics. He thinks they're frauds. He's got his own show. He's kind of trying to point the finger at everybody, saying, you're all fake. This isn't real. I think he must think once you die, you die. And that is it. Obviously, everyone's beliefs are different. He really is a skeptic on this. He doesn't believe anything.
Skeptic.
Skeptic.
Yeah. And what I found interesting in this one is on this watch was the fact that it looks like he's in like a typical like documentary style thing where he's kind of like talking to the camera. That's only at the beginning part of the film.
Yep.
But there's more sense to that later on. But it's almost like, like you think that maybe on the first watch you might be thinking, oh, this is going to be how the format is. It's kind of like a talking to the camera to explain the situation when he's going through these, discovering these stories that he gets asked to.
Because it is quite different the way that they go along, to be fair, the stories as well. Like you're saying with the documentary style initially when he's talking to the camera, then you kind of see the first story pan out. He's not really in that. Whereas the second story is kind of talking more to the boy and the situation, and then you kind of see the story a little bit. The third one is completely different again.
Well, it has to be, isn't it? You've got to keep it interesting. It's not just... What I don't know is obviously, this is based off a stage production, so it's obviously made for film. This is... I don't know as to how the structure would work on stage, and there must be some, obviously, like, visuals, like, in the background or something, but whether it's just, like, a round table discussion where it's like just swapping stories like you would like around a campfire type of thing for that.
It could work, yeah.
So for that. But obviously it gives a more cinematic approach to like you being in situations you go track down these people that lives in various locations and stuff.
Would you do that? Would you
purposely go to someone and interview them about
like with your level of intriguedness of some ghostly kind of encounter?
Yeah, I do listen to like there's plenty of things on YouTube or anything where people have posted up or like ghost stories or things they've encountered and stuff. And it kind of sounds intriguing to think about, really, like or their experiences with that. But it's like I don't know that firsthand. But.
Like I love October, and I know we're getting married in October. Obviously, this is why we're doing this one for you guys.
Yeah,
but ghosts for me are a big no-no. I'm not going to go seek it. I'm not going to go out of my way. Like he wanted to go to Bowling Hall, which is like a old manor house, and there's certain rooms where they just feel creepy as, and you can sleep there for a night. You pay to sleep there, by the way. You don't just get it for free. And it's like, why the hell would I pay for that? I wouldn't last. I really I wouldn't last. I'd be like a white drip by the end of it. I would. It
doesn't intrigue me to do that, maybe at some point, but I think it would be completely by myself.
oh, I'd take somebody else with you who wants to go with you, but not me.
Yeah, but anyway.
I love you, but not that much.
Now, what I started noticing about this as well through this watch,
Mhm.
obviously you kind of notice that the spaces where he's interviewing these people, it's all empty pretty much. Like the first story being in a
Yeah. There's
pub.
nobody else there.
Yeah, there's
No, I just
not
assumed
even the bar person.
he was the landlord and it had closed.
Right.
Like, literally, when I first saw that, I thought he'd closed his pub or something,
Yeah.
or he was not open yet.
Yeah.
That's what I took from that. But yeah, you're right.
More the fact there's the numbers that kind of kept appearing.
Mhm.
Now,
I did say that to you, didn't I?
like, why is the prominent? It's like, I can't quite remember that actually on thing, but it does come back in later in the film.
Yeah.
So there's more of that around, and so when he's talking to this guy, this is probably the more typically scary story because it's like he's this night watchman
Called
Tony
yeah.
Matthews, yeah. This, I think it's a correctional facility or this one area that he's looking out at for some reason. I don't know. What he's actually guarding is a bit questionable because it does look like run down and derelict. So.
Yeah, I don't really know why he's there, to be fair. I'd be like, there's no point in me doing this job. It's pointless. There's nothing here. It's a pile of shite.
Yeah.
I'm not guarding it.
It's a bit like you don't know the game or anything. I haven't really played. I've just seen people on YouTube play, but it's like Five Nights at Freddy's, which is like a similar thing where you're a night watchman. It's abandoned like Chuck E. Cheese place where these animatronic monsters kind of roam in the corridors and stuff, and you've got to be keeping sure that they're not, breaking into the security room or whatever, and that's part of the game. It's
Sounds horrific.
yeah, you'd hate it, yeah. I know I would because that was like one of the things that jump scared me because it's more immersive. Then I'm always more scared by it.
Yeah.
Because if it's like first person, but anyway, it kind of has that aspect to it.
But he is, I don't know, with Tony, he seems quite caged. He seems to have a lot of things kind of troubling him. His wife's passed away and died of cancer. His daughter is in hospital for 5 years with like locked home syndrome, where she's like kind of in herself, but she's still alive and breathing. And bless him, all he's got really is his job, which is just to sit on his bum for a night and get paid. And he's been doing it for like 30 odd years or something like that. And it's been fine.
Yeah.
But the last night when he's about to retire or...
One day left till retirement, yeah.
It decides to go to pot with it.
Yeah.
Lots of people have left and said they can't
handle
it because... And that would be me. I'd be like, nope, this place is flipping freaky. I'm off. I wouldn't be staying around. But it starts with like the walkie-talkies. Obviously, he's got somebody across the way.
Yeah.
And they're crackling a bit and that's getting... And then like the radio, I do feel like that sometimes is... And then the lights were going a bit as well. And then obviously, whatever this thing was pulling out the fuses of the lights and such.
So it's like, I have to go and investigate down the corridor and everything.
And then you're looking and thinking, right, okay, how did they get pulled out? Yeah. You pop them back in, and then he goes again, and there's like this claw hand mark. Yeah. So you know something's messing around.
Mm-hmm.
Awful when it is on the walkie-talkie and it's a creepy-ass girl's, like, voice. Ugh.
Yeah, like, there's a daddy or something like that, or something like that.
God.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Literally, like, I always do worry, like, if we ever have a child... Because of me thinking that little girl appeared and it was a ghost at the bottom of my bed.
That's going to happen.
I swear to God, it'll get a pillow chucked at it or it'll get punched in the face. I really will, because I'll be that petrified. And so my kid will just stand there and I'm like, boom! And he'll be like, but I'll be so scared. And then I know it sounds bad. And I used to have a thing with dolls. So dolls creep me out. Pot dolls. Sophie doll, you know the story of the Sophie doll.
Yeah.
I don't need to go back into it.
No. Dolls are freaky though.
They are, and it's the eyes, because they don't blink. And then they talk to you, and they shouldn't, and you take the batteries out, and they still talk to you, and then that's just like Chucky.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just freaky. Yeah, so I've had a lot of things where little girl things have scared
I think it is the cliche. I don't know when it actually really started with the whole genre, but that's like a trope almost, like the little scary girl ghost.
But I don't think you realise how much they scare me. Like...
Well, I did run this one, because this is the one that you were scream, I think, like next door probably heard and thought what was going on.
I was like, literally, I didn't realise.
The jump scare on that, yeah.
What did you do? Because I didn't even look at you, but I didn't realise.
I think it was like... shake, because I think you were like leaning into me or something and you kind of just leapt out of your skin.
I really did. Like, I could tell she was going to be a girl because I could see like the hint of yellow.
Yeah, this little yellow raincoat and everything, yeah.
And then I did think of it.
Yeah.
Came
Similar
into my head.
thing,
Yeah. And then obviously she was lurking around in the shadows for quite a while and it went on. Well, for me, it felt like a lifetime.
It did, yeah. And it's obviously got those tricks where it's, like, the mind plays tricks on you, which is, again, sort of what the film's kind of going on about. The brain sees what it wants to see, and you, in the dark and the shadows, you think, oh, what's that making out? And it's just a mop and a bucket it's made out to look like it's somebody in the bed
and I'm quite imaginative.
The mannequins and stuff and the sheets and stuff, yeah.
I do that a lot. My brain is very overactive.
Yeah.
I don't think you probably are as much as me.
It used to be when I was a lot younger, when I was more impressionable, I think. But
oh, are you saying I'm youthful and still impressionable? Is that what you're saying? Well, she obviously looked at the mop, thought that was her, and then she came out of nowhere, Paul. I swear to God, I didn't see her coming. Like, I don't know if you actually saw the point of when she was on her way. She just felt like she just arrived. And that's
again, this made jump scare because you like with the dimly lit torch flashing around in the darkness, and that's like just gonna shock you, isn't it? We do it all the time, or anybody, you caught off guard when you're walking around somewhere with a torch in a darkly lit area, and that might occur. It's like, oh, I didn't think you were there or something or whatever. The sort of moments occur.
But she was flipping creepy. And then, this bit I have a question. What on earth is with the finger in the mouth? That made me feel sick.
I can maybe get to that later on in the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
just come back to that, yeah.
That creeped me out.
Yeah,
I was like...
Yeah, there is a reason behind that, but yeah, just it's more apparent.
I was not okay with it. And she looked like a long... Do you remember spaghetti dolls?
No, I don't.
They had spaghetti hair and had long limbs.
Okay.
And she was a long-limbed, spaghetti.
I thought she just looked pretty normal.
No, she looks really... when her arm
to some
went
extent,
up to his mouth, and it's like, you're meant to be a little girl. How can your arm and your finger go in his throat? It felt like she was just getting longer. It's like... So we had to actually have a pause there.
Yeah, that was a cup of tea moment.
I was like, my sugar has dipped. I need a cup of tea. And I think we had a biscuit or something. No, I think we had some form of chocolate or something to put me on, because I was like... And then I was like, shit, that's like not even half an hour through. We've got 2 more. What am I going to do? Luckily for me, the first one was the scariest. And
I agree. Yeah.
I'd got it out of the way.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if that's scary because I'm scarred from shit like that, or if it's just, it was more scary. The build-up was...
Yeah, no, definitely did that. It did a good job of creating that atmosphere and everything that works. That is definitely, for me, also the strongest story of the lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how
Yeah. So, but then you don't really know what happens. It kind of like cuts back to them and having the discussions like, oh, well, after that, I left my job and I went to go see my daughter in the hospital. And he says, like, you should probably go, if you've got any family or stuff like that, you should do the same, that kind of like a thing. So you then get a shot. Oh, sorry, I think it's about going to the church, wasn't it? Sorry, I might get these mixed up a little bit. So it goes to the church where after he felt reformed and a new lease on life, really, essentially, to go and see his daughter. And then the priest says, go and see your family. Sorry, I'm getting my things mixed up there. And then Philip Goodman, he goes to see his father in an old folks home or whatever. And eerily enough, that's also kind of empty as well.
I just thought he was in his room again. I'm making up all these shit excuses, aren't I?
Yeah.
But I just thought he was in his room in an old people's home.
Yeah.
I do think that is quite cruel, though, the way that we treat our elderly, to be fair. I feel like Japanese culture and any other kind of culture, apart from the UK, treat them with their elderlies with a lot more respect.
I think there's retirement homes in the States and stuff. But,
but they're better.
Yeah.
They're not just sat there. They've got activities and fun things to do.
So then we get to the second case story, whatever.
So luckily for me, I'm doing all right when I come to this one. Simon.
Yeah, Simon.
He plays a very good role. He does look like he's absolutely lost his shit. He's like completely psychotic.
Yeah, I pointed out to you. Had you remembered him from that TV series, The End of the Fucking World?
And I don't think I gelled with it. I
Too
think
much,
the girl annoyed me.
Okay, but he's kind of like similar, kind of like nervous disposition character in that as well. He's apparently he's a lot more shaken up in this film, but he's kind of
His eyes are
he has that
like...
nervousness about him.
I don't know how he does it, like how he must not feel emotionally drained after portraying that,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
No, I get that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There was an interesting encounter though in this one for me when he actually went to go see Simon. Obviously, he's a teenage boy.
Yeah.
And his mum and dad are very like, I don't know now. Actually thinking about it, is he thinking of himself with this, with his parents in the kitchen?
Yes.
And
100%. Yeah. So sort of like getting into more spoiler-ific territory now because it's all more coming into light. Because obviously you won't have probably seen this the first time watching this, but when he's Goodman's going like up the stairs and he's looking at a photo and there's like a tunnel and these two school kids and he's kind of like that's weird kind of.
It's when he goes up to the other flight of stairs that then I think, oh, okay, is he now becoming a believer because he sees something?
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know if it was then that the boy knew that something lived upstairs and that was the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if it was going to go down that path.
Right.
Or if he was actually getting a bit trippy out himself.
Because you don't see the parents in the kitchen, they've got their backs
Oh,
turned.
they're freaky
Yeah.
ass. Yeah.
So-
And then the door just shuts.
Yeah.
And then it's...
So how did they do that? Because they were just...
Yeah. And then when they knock on the door...
Yeah. And all that kind of stuff.
But they're not. There's no actual speaking.
Mhm.
So this Simon's room is built up of all these weird ass drawings.
Like satanic
Yeah.
demons and stuff.
I went through a spell when I was little that obviously Christianity really screwed me over, that I would not wear red because of the devil. I was only little. I had this really lovely dress and I wouldn't wear red because it was like, oh, the devil will come and get me. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't wear red. And obviously I've grown out of that. So I don't really believe in a man with horns and being a devil.
Yeah.
That's not, so this didn't scare me as much.
Far-fetched, yeah.
Yeah. I was okay with it.
Okay.
It wasn't, obviously the atmosphere was still scary because obviously he's in a car.
In the dark.
In a woodland area. Well, first of all, why would you? Like, why would you? You just, if I knew I were going to a party and I had to drive through that forest at night, I'd either get myself home early, or I'd be staying at that person's house, or lastly, I just would not be going. So it's his own fault, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's driving without a license because he failed his test and everything, and he's got all these other things that his dad says that calls him out on when he's on the phone with him. He keeps calling him. He's obviously like overprotective parents.
But it's the pressure of being perfect that as well. Is that like, you haven't done this right, you haven't done that right. And imagine if somebody's just constantly beating down on you, how are you meant to grow? How can you be a better person? And you're just going to lie because you don't want to be a failure? Exactly.
Yeah, that's why it kind of gives the impression that coming across that he's really shaken about like, oh, don't want to fail my parents and everything like that. You've got to be...
Yeah. There is a funny part which does make it light-hearted in the room as well when he says about all his pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
Is Sooty and Sweep.
Oh, yeah. And amongst all the...
Yeah, when he don't want to look at
imagery.
all of that, he'll look at Sooty and
Sweep.
Sweep and then he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I did think that was quite cute. It showed that he is still quite an innocent boy at heart.
Yeah, I suppose. But I think this was another moment where it did give you like a scream moment.
Yeah, because it was like I was yet again doing my talking through this, and obviously I think there was 2 times it scared me. So I was like, right, okay, we're driving, it's building up, and I'm like, right, when's this thing coming? And then obviously it lands on the bonnet,
like in front of him,
and he runs him over.
Yeah, which is scaring himself because that could easily happen in real life. If you're distracted on your phone and you're driving in the dark, you could easily hit something like a deer or even a person or whatever. So
I don't know if I screamed at this point.
Not as loud as... I think that you startled. You were like, like a...
like a Tina.
Yeah, blown by it because it's like, again... but there was no build-up with that as such because it was like just like a natural driving, as I say, that could happen to anybody, really.
But then it was the fact this bit annoyed me. So it obviously then was trying to drive away because he realised it was like this demonic kind of man with horns and weird ass body. Whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
probably a
Just
word.
typical.
There's a word for it, but I can't remember it.
Mm.
So he's driving. He's doing a hit and run, and then you can hear like his car breaks down. His lights are going. Everything's going off on one, and he's like, "Shit, I'm gonna be stuck here now." And you see the demon like power running, like a
like in like first person perspective of it running at it.
And then he's sat in the car and he's trying to get his signal, and he's going like this, and I'm thinking,
"This is fucking O2."
Yeah, which I thought was funny because I'm with O2. And to be fair, the signal isn't great sometimes when you're like in the middle of nowhere.
I think it's the worst network. I'm saying that. But, anyway.
And he's like trying to get a signal and everything, and then he gets back in the car, and I'm thinking, he wasn't that far away. He would definitely have been hit by this thing now.
Or
And-
the thing come at him, at this point, yeah.
And I was getting really annoyed because it was like, this is not logical. He would have got hit by now. And then I was getting anxious because why hasn't he been hit? Where's he going to come from? And getting all het up again.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember how he appeared.
The back door of the car opens and it's almost like, he's getting in the passenger seat
hell
type of thing.
no.
Yeah. Where he says there's a moment where it says, "Stay." And he's like, "Fuck that!" And runs out, which I think you would exactly do that when you say that exact statement. Yeah.
Well,
anybody would have.
I think the thing is,
So it's quite funny.
I think some people go like into shock.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, like when we were watching the initial one, he never ran away. He was like investigating, looking down and seeing what the noise was. And I'm like, just leave it. I'd just lock my door and stay in my room. Like, I wouldn't be trying to go and figure out where she was.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, no, I'll just stay here.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, with the car one, he's in your car. You're going to run and run as fast as you can. I'm not going to stay for a demon to possess me or whatever. Even though, to be fair, he could have, at the speed that he was running, he could have caught up with him anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the tree demon thing, whatever appears, which I think is just more like, again, probably a trick of the dark, really, for in that circumstance, to try and represent that, because shortly after that, Goodman then goes to investigate the area where that happens. It's kind of like a fallen tree or something, so that's probably just what occurred. It was just a tree that had fallen down or something on it, and that's what he thought it was, because he was so shaken up by the fact of that.
It's easy, though, to be like that and to trick yourself in the dark. Like, I was getting kind of like thinking when I was sat there, like getting worried, like what if something scary comes into our house and all of that. And I was getting het up again about, well, we're opening up this kind of scariness bubble, and then my head goes into overactive brain. Weirdly, I slept all right.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to have
all
nightmares.
this, yeah.
I did have a weird dream though.
Hmm?
I don't remember. I said we had a cellar.
Yeah, you
We
did.
don't have
We
a
had an
cellar.
extra, all the extra space or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were lit, and there was all this alcohol for you, and then the candles were lit, but we didn't realise there was a cellar, and they looked like they'd been lit for ages. Really bizarre dream. So obviously it messed me up somehow, but not as bad as Babadook.
No.
Babadook, I saw him when I went to bed, but I don't know if that's because he was climbing
on the ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah. while she was in bed. I don't know if that's literally because that was what
That
it
makes,
was.
Yeah, because finds the bed.
Maybe if I'm in the woods next time, I might feel scared of a tree. We'll see.
And there's more the hints of like where Goodman's getting a bit more like wary about stuff now, because he kind of sees himself in the reflection of his own car.
Yeah.
When he's getting into it, it's like, why is there like a ghostly apparition of thing?
I took that as, at that point, while I was watching it, without knowing the twist, that he was thinking he'd become that old man that was sent him on these cases. That's how I took it.
Right. Okay.
What is your theory?
But
Well,
you mean from the first time?
From the first time watching, I thought he was thinking he was becoming the old man because he was starting to believe that this was true. That's how I took it.
I don't really know. I think he was just more succumbing to situations, and it was just like something that was going to happen to him in the future, I guess. Was probably like he was just going to become a ghost. He was going to die and look like, because obviously that's where he was.
That
like
old
a ghost.
man looks really old, and I just thought maybe he looked like he was on death's doors, didn't he? The old man that sent him on these three cases. That he looked up to him, and then he's like, "Oh, this is my future. This is where I'm going to get to."
Okay, right, yeah.
That's how I took it.
Okay. And now we get to case number 3.
He's a dick in this.
Mike Priddle, or Martin Freeman, yeah.
obviously we're not saying the ending, but I'm happy with how it kind of somewhat ends because Martin Freeman becomes lovable, which I can't see him as a bad character, and I just feel like he's a bit obnoxious and a bit of a snob. He's posh and got it all, and he's wearing a tweed like coat and a flat cap, kind of.
Well, I think he does, for what he does in this film. He's really a strong actor anyway. Because I mean, obviously he's had great success from obviously the early days in like The Office and stuff.
He's brilliant. You can't fault him, and he portrays it really well because you actually end up hating him, which is hard because I normally adore him. So it shows how much of a good actor he is to make you feel those emotions.
But the story itself that he retells I feel like it's probably the weakest, really, in terms of what's trying to be scary, in terms of how, especially coming back to it now, knowing what comes, and it's like, not so strong.
Yeah, because he shoots himself.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the actual his poltergeist experience in this big house that he has
with the dripping tap, because we kind of come back to that leaky tap situation, and then it's obviously his wife's pregnant, and it's taken her a while to get pregnant. Yeah,
so she's in the hospital, and there's kind of like a thing of like indication of like a ghostly thing going on, because almost like a premonition of like what's occurring, really.
And obviously she's got a demon baby that's ripping her in two, basically. And then he's taking over at the same time as ripping his mum apart the house. Is that kind of the logic?
I think so. It's just more like the fears of, like there's various themes through the film with these stories. Obviously, it's like I could say from the first one, the guilt of not being around for your family members who are suffering more than you are. Like not spending time with them. The boy one's more, I think, to do with how having a bad childhood, really, and just dealing with that.
I think as well with that is more honesty, possibly.
Yeah.
Like, if you more truthful and honest, you'd go to heaven. If you lie and sin, then you're going to go to hell. Maybe it's more like that kind of religious aspect.
I suppose.
Obviously, because we do start off with a Jewish
the faith. Of that.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure on all aspects of the Jewish faith and whether it's similar, how similar it is to Christianity or anything like that. But with this story, I feel like it's more about the fears of spending too much time on your work life than you are involved with your family, and that kind of really affects things. And if you have family, of course, relying on you, I suppose, and you're not there for them.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because I know, like, sometimes work-life balance isn't great, but you need work to provide.
Yeah.
And you need...
Catch-22, really.
Yeah, it's awful. It really is. But obviously I think theirs is more greed. They don't need all of what they've got. Like, to get by. They've got that. There's getting by.
That's it, because he wanted a baby, he says, from the get-go, and she was like, no, I want to be top-tier manager, whatever, of the business before we even think of that, really. So it's all that kind of thing, and then obviously it's like the time's running out to get up the corporate ladder or whatever, so it's like you need to do a surrogate thing or something so it's again like the time of slipping away and to do these things that's more the horror aspect of it, really, I think. And it's just a manifestation of, like I say, this call that he got about his wife giving birth and like basically ripped her apart from during childbirth. So it's
makes you not want to have a child, does it?
I know. It's
but
scary,
that does sound obviously a lot more olden times than nowadays. I would say it's not as common that happens.
I suppose, but not to say it can't.
No.
Occur, but and so then it ends up story with like just what seems randomly like just taking a shotgun to his head, and like, what were you taken aback by?
Yeah. Well, I was like, what the hell? Why are you killing yourself? I was like, this seems a bit strange now. It's seeming a bit all weird. Yeah. And then we're flashing back to him in the house again, where we thought he was dead, and obviously then it shows his wife screaming. She was a bit scary when she came in, because obviously it had the cot, and it had like the poltergeist kind of movements of things. And that was a bit. I think I did jump. I'd got a little bit more steady away at that point and didn't scream.
Yeah, and maybe that bit where there's like a mysterious figure in the distance, and then suddenly turn around and look back, and it's
I
like,
hate that.
doom, like appears out of nowhere kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely hate that.
Yeah.
Blah.
Yeah. And so from all this, he's probably like, Goodman's like, oh my god, what the hell just happened? And then he goes back to Charles Cameron, who was enlisted to solve these cases.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is all bullshit, really. And this is where like a twist of things comes into play with everything, with Goodman's whole storyline, and it reveals that, well, the character Martin Freeman takes off the prosthetics. I don't know if you just took that as just like old man makeup and didn't think, oh, that's Martin Freeman under there.
No, I never thought it was Martin Freeman. No, I didn't.
For me, obviously seeing this a lot more times now, it's like, yeah, that does kind of look a bit more obvious if you look really closely. But it didn't take me out of it too much. But
when that happened, I was just thinking it was kind of just getting trippy again and a bit more of an illusion.
Yeah.
And his mind was just ended up kind of, because obviously seeing him shoot himself.
Yeah.
All of that. So I wasn't thinking it was going to end the way it did.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So now we're kind of coming into more the, like, let's have a look at your life, shall we, type of thing of Goodman's past.
Kind of reminds me of the Ghost of Christmas Past a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So it's revealed with all these like numbers and stuff and all these other aspects that he was kind of picked on as a young boy in this woodland area, and these bullies were
chucking glass at his forehead or holding a bottle and chucking stones so that the glass would break. And there was a tunnel which had numbers in, which is this is where the numbers are all coming from.
Yeah.
And
this young I don't know what the politically correct term is, but what would you say? He is like just mentally,
I don't know, maybe it might be like possibly Down syndrome.
Or something along those lines. Yeah, he's not all there basically.
He's got a disability of some form, and the bullies know that he's one of those kind of, he's more
succumb to
innocent
right,
at heart and more vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I just think these two people are awful.
Yeah, these school bullies. Yeah.
Like, I kind of wish I'd seen that they would die instead. To be fair, like, you always want that, don't you? You don't want the nice people, the vulnerable people, to be hurt.
Yeah. So they call Kojak or something, I think, because he's not that smart. So it's kind of like a little ironic nickname to give him. So go into that tunnel and count like all the numbers that I've written in there. Don't stop a thing, and then you can be in our gang type of thing. And this leads to the tragic incident where he goes crawling into this really tight space and he has an asthma attack and dies. And then it's like, well, Goodman, why didn't you go home and tell anybody about this? You kind of just left it, so there's that whole guilt aspect.
But why didn't you just go in and help him get out? Like, that's the bit,
I know.
like,
you thought, well, but he didn't obviously like want to get hurt by the bullies. Yeah,
but I feel like at least you could get him out, and then it'd be up to him to voice it. Then, like, as long as you could get him out of there, he might not have been dead.
I know, that's what I mean. It's like, it's your fault that you could have done something. You could have sent for help, but you didn't. You'd kind of just ran away.
He could have helped him, and then if Kojak wanted to say, well, they did that to me, they made me go in this tunnel, then it's not on Goodman's head, is it really? No. But it was cowardly, and he ran away. And that you've kind of got somebody's death on your life there, to be fair.
That's it, yeah.
Which is
that's
that's why I hate kind of falling out on an argument or something and then falling asleep and not being okay with somebody. Yeah. Because what if they die out in their sleep, or they're not there the next day?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, that, then guilt and regret, which you can never change. So obviously the boy then is Kojak that he's been seeing throughout this. So it's got the hood. He's kind of
like a zombified kind of manifestation.
And then that becomes creepy again, and I don't understand. And the finger thing's there again, so he pulls him.
So now we can get into that. Yeah. So the finger thing.
First of all, never put your finger in your mouth.
Okay. Noted. So it definitely becomes more prominent now thinking about it, because how it comes about, because it's sort of like a reveal behind the curtain and then he's kind of like lying down above him, and he's wearing like those hospital gown now. This is Goodman, this is. And the finger goes in the mouth as he's hovering over him, and the lights are flashing in this room, like, what's going on here? And then as it kind of flashes, and it's like, right, this is now reality. The tube that's in his mouth is representative of the finger of Kojak and the girl, and all these other aspects that now come more into play as to like how the situation is, because what's happened is he's in a coma. He's actually the one with the locked-in syndrome because he tried to take his own life with the, I'm presuming, like, I don't know if it's ciphering gas. That may be another thing. In the car. Yeah, doing that's why you see the reflection in the car, because that's where he died. And then there's all these other aspects, like you see like the young boy being like one of the on-hand nurses or doctors, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Martin Freeman comes in and saying like, oh, what do we recognise as the diagnosis? And says like, oh, something about I would have done it with a shotgun to the head, and that's all these other aspects of like, oh, okay, that's kind of piecing that. This is all the stuff that he's hearing, Goodman's hearing in the background as he's laying there motionless and can't do anything about it, and he's, the mind is just making up these scenarios. So it's almost like it was all a dream kind of thing, but not, because it's a bit more like not as lame as that. Yeah, it's all in his head, and it's cause that's the big twist, really, that he's
and obviously
essentially comatose.
Tony as well.
Yeah, he's the cleaner, the janitor. Yeah,
and he kind of puts the TV on for him and
the radio. Yeah,
and
it's alright, Sunbeam, because he obviously said that when he was talking to him, and then he gives, and you also see this shots peppered throughout the film, like this shot of like a ceiling light, almost like some curtains wafting in the thing. You're thinking, what's that in relation to? And that comes at the very end, where it's kind of like it's because he's wheels over this mirror so that he can see a bit of the outside world from the window, and then the bird that also splatters into the window at the end to consider like that's another a thing that, because the boys were also playing outside the tunnel with like dead birds and stuff, and so that's another recurring theme. And there was the girl, the little girl was playing with. So
she had it, I think.
Yeah, and there was a doll in the corner that was the yellow dress doll.
Yeah,
and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So all linked.
Yeah, it's all linked. So I think it's quite cleverly done how that all comes about. Really,
I don't think I will watch it again.
No,
it scared me too much. And to be fair, I think because I know what's coming, it would be okay, but it still scared me.
Well, I think that's a sign of good horror film. You don't want to, if you're to rewatch horror films.
Yeah, I do. I don't want to be scared.
To not be scared of them, because then it's like, oh, what's the point? It's not really doing its job. And so that's why I'm always on the lookout for things that do try and scare me, especially if I haven't seen them before. And it's like, people recommend them, and it's like, okay, let's see if this does actually scare me.
And then it doesn't, because you're a weirdo and you don't get scared at anything.
That's not true. There's certain things that might not be conventionally scary to some people, and but I find quite terrifying. So
good.
Yeah. Things that we might cover in the future, but never know.
No, we're just now that we're getting wed. We're just never doing Halloween month now.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
no. It's in his vows.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No, Monster March is gone. But
Halloween's gone too.
No.
It's going to be now 2 months of Christmas.
Oh.
You'd actually send me something for Christmas. You just showed me something. It was a movie, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's coming out, so that's what we're going to potentially cover. Right before we go into scoring.
Yeah.
I've got some in the little booklet of the Blu-ray case. There's this little thing that says about the director's like top 10 scary movies, which incidentally the Andy Nyman, I hope I'm saying that right, is the one who plays Goodman in the film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's a co-directed film, so he's kind of like assistance from this other person who's involved as well. But so his top 10 scary movies, according to him.
Have I seen any?
No. Oh no, sorry. It's alright, there's one. But,
okay.
So, Session 9, which I have seen, and I thought it was okay. Wasn't particularly scary. It had sort of a twist, but I think there was something that kind of like a bit comical about it. It wasn't unintentionally, but
Why can't we watch that one then?
Number 9 is Deep Red, which I've got down there. I think it's sealed, I think, but it's definitely it's like a Italian horror film.
You've not seen it?
No, I've not seen it. No, I've seen most of these, I think. Maybe a couple. Anyway, number 8 is Dead of Night, which is in like an anthology series of films, short films. There's only one that's particularly like memorable in that would be scary, I guess. But it's down to what you deem as scary, I suppose.
True.
Because you probably be like, "What? This is rubbish," potentially. But
why don't we cover the ones that won't scare me? Like, come on, Paul.
Number 7, The Haunting. Now, I did want to cover this because this was on the pile of the things that I said. Like this, at some point, I do want to talk about it. Now, this is one that I do generally find quite haunting. Yeah, like one of my favourite horror films. This is the 1963 one as well, not the crappy 2001 or whatever it was with Catherine Zeta-Jones in, I think it was.
No, well, you know it's going to be rubbish if she's in it.
Number 6, American Werewolf in London. Now, I don't really say this is that scary. It's more of a sort of... It's comedic in a sense, but I wouldn't say it was like on the same level as terrifying in any sense as such, other than being on the moors and a wolf comes after you. But that might be scary in that situation. But number 5, Switchblade Romance. I haven't seen that one, and I don't really know what it's really about in terms of G. This movie's untouchable. It doesn't give much away there, really. But it was 2003, so it's more of a modernish one, but I don't know what's...
17 years
old.
I
know, yeah. Number 4, you have seen Halloween.
I know. Yeah. I'm just thinking I don't really think I'd... Well,
yeah,
it's hard for me to tailor what I'd think is a good Halloween film because I don't really enjoy any of them.
I didn't say Halloween, I said scary. This is scary movies.
Yeah,
but I think that's like another of my favourites in terms of horror films.
It's alright.
Number 3, Dark Water, the Japanese horror. I've seen... I'd have to revisit it again. It's like a very slow build one with that. A bit like the Japanese Ring, which I do quite like. But I prefer that to the other one. A Warning to the Curious is number 2, which I know I've definitely seen. I cannot remember exactly what happens in it, but it was part of that like series of like ghost stories for Christmas set we kind of started watching, and you were like,
no,
we did watch one, and you were like, oh, this guy is really annoying, and then it's like and once that it kind of ended, you were like, is that it? Kind of thing. It was.
And then I said to you, you can just watch the rest of it by yourself. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, so...
And also it wasn't Christmas. You were like trying to get Halloween in on Christmas and I wasn't having it.
Yeah, these are just things to watch.
The only one that I will allow is The Nightmare Before Christmas because technically it is Christmassy as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit of both.
And number 1, which I kind of agree with, but I don't know if it'll be a number 1 spot for me, but is Wreck, which is a Spanish horror, which is like a found footage.
Oh, so like
Blair Witch, yeah.
Or Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And that's pretty good. That did kind of initially give me scares because it's like catching things off guard a little bit, and it's unsettling because it's like it's shaky cam type of thing. But there we are. So I just thought I'd throw that in before. It's sort of something interesting, really. Now we come to your score.
I don't know. It's a good film.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I like the twist. I enjoy the actors within it. I just find really Halloween films hard to score because did I enjoy it? Am I going on enjoyment? No, of course I didn't because I was shitting myself the entire time. So
yeah, I guess
I can't go, oh yeah, it's a 10 because I didn't enjoy watching it. Not that it was rubbish, it was just, it made me feel scared. And that's a good thing, but I don't like feeling that way.
I suppose, yeah, it's again, sort of like a catch-22 on that, isn't it?
So it's like, how it made me feel, I would say I want to score it a 2.
But in terms of how the story flows, and everything and all the other aspects to it that puts it all together.
I think, yeah, I'm going to have to be fair and do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I love the
Yeah.
film and not that
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it next week.
No.
But the way that every little part of the film was thought of and how it all kind of concluded as a whole,
Yeah.
I'd probably say an 8.
That's very good. I'm very surprised at that. You were sheepishly going into yourself there and thinking you could get like a 5 or something.
No, because I don't really want to say 8 because then you're like, oh yeah, she'll watch it again.
No.
And like, I don't really want to watch it again, but I can value what
is
good about it.
The story of it, yeah.
And I can understand why somebody who would love a horror film would enjoy it. Yeah.
I would I'm going to slide a bit higher, so don't have to worry. 8.5 for me.
8.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm fair then.
Yeah, absolutely fair. Yeah. I think it's kind of lost a little bit of its charm from like seeing it a fair few times, but it's definitely something I do enjoy coming back to, especially as, like I say, it's got that repeat viewing aspect to it to pick up on even certain little things that you might not have seen from the first time and stuff.
Like Shutter Island, it's like Fight Club, it's all of those ones where it's got like that twist to it that you kind of want to go back. And even The Shining has that. Exactly, yeah. And I think that's why I credited it as a high score, like you have.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's the Halloween one done out of the bag.
Yes! I didn't plan this, though, because to be fair, we did plan this wedding before we started this podcast, so...
This episode, you mean?
No, the whole wedding planning.
Oh, yes,
from like 2019 when we booked his day, it was done before we did podcasts. But I am glad that I only have to suffer one Halloween this year.
Well, you say that one that we've had to sit down and talk about, you mean, and go like, because I'm not having stuff we've been watching when we've got time to spare. It's not been like, right, I'm going to make you suffer and put you through the worst or anything.
That's why I kind of, when we went through this and you said I'm really going to get scared, I was like, well, isn't that the point? Even though I hated myself for saying it, I'm like, well, we want one that sounds good and that we're both going to react to, instead of something like the Hocus Pocus when we watched and I felt nothing.
Exactly, I definitely didn't feel anything for that. I don't feel anything for the first one, to be honest. Anyway, so thank you very much for listening to this very long episode. Well, we're making it count, I suppose, for the only Halloween one we're covering this year. If you would like to check out some of our other episodes, including the Halloween ones, you can go and do so over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
If you want to follow us on social media, wish us a happy wedding day, then by all means, more than welcome to do that. So we are on Instagram, TikTok, and obviously mainly Twitter, I think, by the sounds of things, by what Paul does. So if you want to find us and you haven't already, it's under the handle SP_filmviewers. And wish us good luck and congratulations, because by the time that this gets posted, Paul's going to be sweating his bum off at an altar.
Yep.
And I'll be like, hopefully gracefully arriving in a camper van.
Yeah. Oh, man. I that's the most anxious part of that, really, kind of like all the build up and everything and thing. But I know once I'm there,
you'll be
fine. Yeah, you'll be fine.
And then I will literally be SP.
Yep, that's it.
Sophie P.
Yeah, that's right. So it will be a little while, as I say, obviously, maybe like a week or so when we get the next episode after this one, when this is obviously released, obviously for the mini moon. And next time you'll hear from us will be married couple.
Yeah, man and wife.
Yep. So thank you very much once again for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.